This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No.
Y'all,
just
stop.
This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yes.
Listen, no time for introductions. We got to get right to it because I want to start talking about what everybody is talking about from the Oscars last night. It was a moment. Beyonce lost for Best Original Song. Did you guys see that? I can't believe
Along with
it.
Dixon. Please give Dixon his credit.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm joking. Last night's Oscars, the smack heard around the world. Of course, we're talking about Will Smith hitting Chris Rock across the face. It was censored here in America, but in case you missed it, here's the exchange.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Richard. Oh, wow. Will Smith just smacked out of me. It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
All right, so we were on a text chain last night. I had a lot to say. I was very excited about coming in today. Sadly, for that reason, Chris Rock took that like a G. I want to point that out first.
Let's be real.
Yeah, but let's bring this. Where are we going with this, Erica? Your role. You want to begin? We could start anywhere because
obviously Al's point of view as a comedian, we're all waiting for.
Yes.
I'm just going to say that I was just sad. Like my prevailing feeling was sadness because we have Shayla Cohen and Will Packer produced the best Oscars that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Obviously, Will Smith, that was a big moment for him that was marred by what happened before. Chris Rock has been in therapy for 7 hours a week, so clearly there's something going on there. Jada Pinkett Smith was the absolute subject of misogynoir that was also done by a black comedian in a mainstream space, so that was problematic with the joke. The Serena and Venus, the sisters, they deserve more than that. Like, it was just sad. It was sad. We should be talking about all these things to celebrate, and we're talking about this.
You know when your parents tell you, like, they yell and yell and yell at you or even hit you in certain cases, but that time when they tell you, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I got that feeling with Will yesterday because I look up to Will and I was disappointed with what happened yesterday. From a comedian, Al, where do you stand?
It was just bad all the way around. As somebody that looks to be a protector of women, initially when you see it, you get it. You go, I'd stand up for Jordan like that. I'd stand up for Ant like that. I'd stand up for Brooks like that. Your initial but then you take a second and you realize, wait a second, we're an adult. We don't use our hands, and we don't punch somebody or strike somebody in front of the entire world, because what you've now done is set off a chain reaction of things that you can no longer control. You can no longer control the fact that Questlove's hard work on his documentary will be forever swallowed. Right. No different than the guy that was drafted after Michael Jordan. What was his name? Once you do something that impactful, everybody else's work is undone forever. And now you have unleashed a set of circumstances that we can now no longer control, Tori. So I felt sorry for the fact that the incredible fashions, Amy's great monologue, which there was so much organic conversation that was happening right up until this moment, and we won't talk about it again, Tori.
We're going to talk about that later.
I know we will, but like as a people, it's going to take a while because it's going to be this for 2 weeks.
I get you.
Instead of like some really cool things happen.
Yeah, like Coda. I was really excited for Coda to happen.
I cried. I didn't even get to that.
Right. There's so many things.
I was on my couch crying. Like, how am I crying?
It feels like 10 years ago.
When he said that stuff about his dad, I lost my dad. So it's just like so many other beautiful things happen.
Yeah, I just think it's a very, very complicated, layered moment in pop culture, and I think it can be looked at like a prism in a gazillion different angles, but at the very end, violence to me is just unacceptable.
I'm going to come right back to you, Tori, but let's get some celebrity reactions on both sides. So, talking about the smack, of course, some celebs are not condoning what Will did, right? So, a lot of people seem to be split in half, including Judd Apatow, who said that's pure out-of-control rage and violence. Well, we see which side he's on. But on the other side, we've got Tiffany Haddish, who supported Will, saying, as a woman who has been unprotected, for someone to say, keep my wife's name out your mouth, that's your husband. That's what your husband is supposed to do, right? Protect you. So I've seen reactions on both sides, and I kind of bring this to a different conversation, right? We've talked so much about cancel culture, and I've talked so much about cancel culture on this show. You say one thing to hurt someone's feelings, right? Or disparage someone in some sort of way, the rest of your career could be gone. Mm-hmm. But not removing Will Smith after he assaulted someone on stage, I think was a big misstep by the Oscars. I understand there's two sides to this, and you shouldn't talk about someone's wife. I get that. But condoning that and letting him go to Vanity Fair's after party, I'm not with that. And I love Will Smith. I look up to Will Smith. I listen to all of his inspirational things. I'm a big inspirational guy. But if you want to keep things equal and you want to level the playing field, it's got to be level on both sides. You're telling me if I sit up here and slip, I could be canceled, but if I slap Al in the face, I'm all good? Yes. I don't like where this is going, and people need to take a stand, and it shouldn't be supporting what he did. That's just my opinion.
And just so you know, but first of all, I'll give you 2 points on this and let you guys go. Chris Rock has denied or is failing to press charges, and LAPD did approach and ask if he wanted to press charges. And the Academy has very strict code of conduct rules, and there are rumors that the Oscar might be taken away from Will because of what happened at this Oscars. That's the two things I wanted to put in context too, but I want to know what you think, Al.
I mean, I look at it, and yes, of course, he is going to face some sanctions, and he could have been walked out, but he received an award after that, did he not?
Yeah.
So there's the people that run these shows, they're people. They know what to do. Oh, Erica's got a loose hair. Send so-and-so over there. Oh, Jeff, he's up next. Go get him from the room. The people are good in their areas, but I'm assuming not many people knew how to handle this.
Right.
There's no protocol for this.
No
so
precedent.
We can literally sit here and Monday morning quarterback it.
Which that's what we're doing.
Monday night. But literally. But
people have been
do?
canceled. ABC handled it differently, right, for what they did on Jeopardy or The Bachelor.
Right.
They've obviously let Twitter handle their.
Right. And I agree with you. He should have been walked out, but I don't think people knew what to do in the moment.
Right, and that's the issue. Like, yes, we can talk about it. We're Monday evening quarterbacking it right now.
Sure.
But this is a live event. So, yes, there have been people who have been faced consequences. But when in the history of ever has it happened in a live event? The time from the slap to the time of accepting the award and the whole show wrapping was a matter of minutes.
Yeah, right.
So if someone was going to make a judgment call, either way the judgment call would have been considered wrong, because people can't even agree if Will was in the right or if Chris was in the right or if neither of them were in the right. That can't even be agreed upon.
So I think that Will Smith out?
I said the biggest thing for me was, thank goodness this happened in a room full of actors, because hashtag the show must go on was quite effective, because people picked up. I mean, you could tell they were rattled, but even Chris Rock was able to finish, presenting the Oscars. So, I mean, bananas.
But the look on his face will stay with me forever.
For sure.
When after Will returned to his chair and he
looked at him.
His eyes were darting around. He was so embarrassed, humiliated, mad, and confused.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't fake that face in a room full of actors.
Yeah.
Nobody can make that face.
Just to circle back real quick, I think Will should not be canceled, right? I think they'll handle their business, him and Chris Rock. And I just want to speak to cancel culture. We need to get rid of that. We need to allow people to make mistakes, just like they're saying on the red carpet. Will's a human being. Will just did this. I get it. I have a temper problem. I dealt with it my whole life. But to say something or do something, you should not be canceled the rest of your life. There should always be a road for redemption. And we're too quick to throw people away for one little mistake. But now they're seeing how that is. People are just human, and that's all. We're just human, and we make mistakes. Don't want them canceled, just so maybe you'll learn a lesson from this.
Well said.
All right, coming up on DBL, the red carpet looks that stunned and the ones that missed the mark. We're talking all about Oscars fashion, of course. But first, what did you think of the Oscar hosts? We're going to talk about it. I think they did a fantastic job. Amy, Wanda, Regina, did they get the job done? We're going to talk about it next.
Closed captioning provided by
Ron.
Did I say Apatow though, right?
Yeah. Cool. I had it wrong.
This is going to be like a case study in pop culture for quite some time. Was it handled correctly? Was it not handled correctly? I was just bringing up the fact that this happened on live television, because generally when there are consequences, the consequences are coming post-mortem. It's like after everyone is settled down and people are, first of all, what's the Twitterverse saying? That's not even clear. Like, it's not clear where people stand on it, which is just insane in itself.
If someone dropped a derogatory term about trans people or homosexuals or black people during their speech, how fast do you think they'd be removed from the venue?
Well, here's the issue.
I don't even think they'd be able to finish their speech. I think they would shut the music off.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but also we have what's her face who absolutely said something that was misogynoir. It was coming up on putting herself up on a pedestal over Venus and Serena Williams. I can't even remember.
Jane Campion.
Yeah.
Director of Power of the Dog.
Major misstep.
That was a big misstep.
She got dogged for it.
Yeah.
She wasn't removed for it.
Right. But
You
she
know,
got
so it's
consequences
like,
for it.
right. I think that's the nature of live versus, something that's been pre-recorded and we've had time to pontificate on it.
And also, Erica, we have to remember we are human beings, and this is such a crazy situation that as I looked at it over and over again, my brain couldn't wrap my head around the fact of what I was looking at because this just couldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the two biggest stars in our universe are having a fist fight on live television.
But at some point,
I could not process
look,
it.
my mom disagreed with me. She thought he was right, but at some point,
I've been getting out of that Spider-Man costume. Did I miss anything? There's like a different vibe in here. Probably not.
That's exactly what that show needed at that time. Welcome back. That was Amy Schumer adding some levity to the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock slap situation, of course. So during the opening monologue, Amy also poked fun at Will's movie King Richard. Let's take a look at that.
After years of Hollywood ignoring women's stories, this year we finally got a movie about the incredible Williams sisters' dad.
In another bit, Wanda Sykes walked on stage dressed as Richard Williams. The other two women were supposed to be Venus and Serena, but didn't get the memo. Regina dressed as Tammy Faye Baker, and Amy came down from the rafters as Spider-Man. And Regina called up single actors like Bradley Cooper and Timothée Chalamet for a COVID test. She also called Will's name and said Jada approved him already. So hilarious. Later, she gave both Josh Brolin and Jason Momoa a COVID pat-down before they presented. Did anyone think that was a little? Did you? All right.
yeah. I did.
Because we're so hypersensitive now to situations like this. I noticed it, Tori.
Yeah, look, let me just say something. I didn't know a lot about Regina Hall, but she is hilarious. You were like, don't sleep on Regina Hall. I didn't know her. Of the three, I knew her the least. I thought her timing was excellent. And she made a big thing about being, I'm single, I'm really trying to meet someone. So I thought the whole calling people up on stage was a funny bit. To me, it was when she started touching Josh Brolin, and he kind of backed up and she did a full COVID test. Yeah, if the genders are reversed, that's 100% not okay. So for me, I cringed, I turned away, not because I was so offended, but because the climate we're in doesn't dictate that that's okay right now. And maybe it will a little bit later on, but to me, that felt like a double standard. It did.
I watched it. I mean, we were texting in real time as it was happening, and honestly.
Yeah, I texted you, and I'm like, yo, not cool.
Yeah, it's weird because we had gone for a quick dog walk, and I told my girl, I was like, I need to be watching out. She's like, nothing's gonna happen. Tori texted me before we got off the block. She was like, something's happening, and this is pre-Will and everything.
Yeah, free will, that's right.
So, I look at that, but first of all, I do want to say this, and I don't want this to be lost. When Amy came out and made that joke after the assault, I want everybody to remember the importance of comics. And that's why we're there. That's why comedians are there. She went and knuckle bumped Tiffany Haddish after that. Comedians make levity and make light of things that are unpleasant.
Uncomfortable.
And that is the whole point. And if we start attacking them for the subject that they're tackling, there's no point to having comedians. Anybody can make a goofy joke, but when you make a joke about your father dying from cancer, that's something everybody's experienced and wants to get that out. Everybody in that room is feeling something, needed to get that first laugh out. So that's whenever we're covering a story about canceling a comic, remember that moment, and remember that's why it's a tightrope, because sometimes you say something and it brings levity, and sometimes you say something and people go, oh no.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Absolutely. Great point. We can't talk about the Oscars without talking about the night's big winners. Coda, as Tori mentioned, took home the night's top honor and became the first film produced by a streaming service to win Best Picture. Coda star Troy Kotsur made history, becoming the first deaf man to take home an Academy Award. He got Best Supporting Actor. I loved his speech, by the way.
Oh, man.
Meantime, Ariana DeBose also broke new ground, becoming the first openly gay woman of color to win an acting Oscar. She won Best Supporting Actress for West Side Story, of course, and here's her speech.
Imagine this little girl in the back seat of a white Ford Focus. Look into her eyes. You see a queer, openly queer woman of color, an Afro-Latina, who found her strength in life through art. And that's what I believe we're here to celebrate. So to anybody who has ever questioned your identity, ever, or you find yourself living in the gray spaces, I promise you this, there is indeed a place for us.
That made me tear up.
Me too. That's a song from West Side Story.
Yes,
yeah.
We got that.
Okay.
Finally, Jessica Chastain took home the Best Actress Award for her portrayal of Tammy Faye Baker in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. All right, so let's go back to the speeches, because everyone kind of had a moment there.
Go back to Coda, because Troy Kotsur, it was an amazing moment for the disabled community, for the deaf community. His speech about his father, who was the best signer, and then was in a car crash and paralyzed.
That got me.
That got me too. So, and huge movement for streaming services. I can't overemphasize how important that was also to win Best Picture.
Wow.
Well, I have to highlight Ben Proudfoot. He was the Canadian director, producer for The Queen of Basketball. He took his moment. He's on the left there.
Yes.
We have a little space so that he was able to get clear for the Academy Awards.
Look at you. Look at you.
But he took his moment and used it to amplify Brittany Griner and the fact that she needs to be brought home. And I was just so proud to have met him, had that conversation with him on top of the Queen of Basketball, amplifying that voice, that story of the first woman to be drafted into the NBA. So it was just that was the moment I was like screaming, like running around my house. Like,
that's awesome.
I met him.
Yeah. Awesome. It also helps when you talk to him a day or two before. Yeah, you're also pulling for him. Coming up on DBL, we'll tell you our favorite looks from the red carpet. Oh, you're going to want to stick around.
Message from viewer Ian L. asking if an ATM surcharge class action settlement was real. So let's verify. Our source is the class action lawsuit itself, court documents regarding the settlement, and attorney Gary Monty. The class action lawsuit was brought on behalf of cardholders who used a bank ATM that was different than the bank that issued the card. Many of them were hit with a surcharge. The lawsuit alleges the defendants violated federal antitrust laws. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan have all agreed to settlements totaling more than $66 million. However, Visa and MasterCard have not settled, so the lawsuit continues. The final approval for the settlement is scheduled for May 17th.
Monty says these class action types of lawsuits are becoming more common against bigger companies.
That allows people to combine their efforts in a sense and bring an action so that they can afford it, have a lawyer represent them, and then make the company stop the conduct.
So how can you get money? You qualify if between October 1st, 2007 and November 12th, 2021, you paid an unreimbursed surcharge to withdraw cash from a bank ATM using a card issued by a different bank. If this happened to you, you must submit a valid claim by May 11th in order to receive money. So how will the money be split up?
Usually in these types of cases, there'll be a statute, federal or state, that sets forth how much you can get for this particular type of offense and so on.
Because it's so impossible to know how many people will file claims. Right now, there's no payment estimate, but we can verify that, yes, the ATM surcharge class action settlement is real.
was.
Yeah.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Did that sound good coming out of my mouth?
No.
Again, yeah.
Erica layered hers right on top.
Yeah.
She did. She did a voiceover for you. I appreciate that.
Helped you out there.
All right, welcome back. I apologize. That was Beyonce opening the Oscars from the tennis courts in Compton with everyone dressed in tennis ball yellow. Other A-listers also brought their fashion game to the red carpet. Some of the hits, Nicole Kidman looks stunning in this blue Armani Privé gown with a bedazzled train. You gotta bedazzle the train.
Yeah, you do.
Oscar winner Ariana DeBose rocked his Valentino crimson crop top with matching wide leg pants and a floor-length cape.
Red was everywhere.
Oscars.
Yes.
Oh, Timothy Chalamet went shirtless with this Louis Vuitton blazer from the women's wear collection.
He's a matador.
Yeah, and Lady Gaga skipped the red carpet but appeared on stage wearing this black sparkly tux. I loved her moment with Liza Minnelli too.
Yeah.
There were, let's talk about some of those because we're going to talk about the fails. Those were some of the highlights.
Yeah, I just, the Timothy Chalamet, I liked it. Just the no shirt, just because that reminds me of the 80s legend Billy Ocean. He's the, Caribbean Queen. He's that, I just always imagine like his wardrobe would just be just a blazer. And somebody goes in like, Billy's about to do the video, where's the shirt? And he's like, no shirt.
How confident you have to be to wear no shirt to the Oscars?
At the top of your game to be like, time to go shirtless to the Oscars.
But a blazer, because I want to keep it classy.
Totally, sparkly.
Anyone else stand out to you?
I really liked Jada Pinkett Smith's dress, the green. I thought that she's such a petite woman, and it gave her this like very regal silhouette. I loved it.
I will not be commenting on whether I like it or not.
I absolutely love that dress. Yeah, I feel like that was, again, so many things got swallowed. I think there was so much great fashion. Best humor I've heard. Honestly, it's such a weird event to cover because it's like almost melancholy if we're talking about it.
We will be talking about it, that's for sure. There are also some fashion misses on the red carpet. Fans were divided over the Williams sisters. Some weren't a fan of the plunging necklines, but others thought they served up style.
I thought they looked amazing. Serena's dress, just so people know too, it's an in motion dress. So when you see it in movement versus static, it looks completely different, but she looks beautiful. They both do.
I think when you're the best at what you do, you could wear whatever you want. Kristen Stewart wore Chanel short shorts to the Oscars, and a lot of people thought this look was too casual.
I liked it.
For the big night.
She had a Chanel right there as inspired by a men's tie wear, and she had a Chanel stone. I thought it was really cool.
I actually really dig that look. I like it. I mean, I can see the kids a little casual, but yeah, I like
it's a risk.
I like it. So Tracee Ellis Ross took a fashion risk with this low-cut gown. And Billie Eilish dressed for comfort in this multi-layered ruffled gown.
Yeah.
That one's no good.
Yeah.
Come on, let's just shoot it straight.
I'm not a fan of that one. I did like what Jada's dress did, where it was slim fitting in some portions, and it kind of
the volume at the bottom.
It really almost kind of helped show off the different and dynamic. And like I kind of wish Billie's dress did that, but I see what she was going for, and she is an oversized clothes. That's her thing. And
she is the best kind at what she does. So back to my point.
Back to your
You
point.
can kind of wear whatever you want.
Whatever you trash bag on your head like you do every day. I'm just kidding.
Like people wish I did every day. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Leaders from around the world condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine last month and accused Russia of violating international agreements. Several social media posts specifically point to the Budapest Memorandum and called on the U.S. and U.K. to uphold their end of the deal.
So, let's verify. Did Ukraine agree to give up its nuclear weapons in 1994 in exchange for safety from a U.S. or Russian invasion?
Our sources are the text of the Budapest Memorandum, the Arms Control Association, the U.S. State Department, and the Wilson Center, a nonpartisan policy forum on global issues.
When the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine inherited the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world.
And the Arms Control Association says much of it ended up in Ukraine.
According to the Wilson Center, the newly formed government used the stockpile as leverage to get security guarantees from Russia that it would not attack them in exchange for denuclearizing.
The U.S. and U.K. gave assurances to Ukraine that they would provide aid if an attack ever happened, but it did not guarantee military support. And all four countries agreed to consult each other
if the treaty's commitments ever came into question.
So, it's true. Ukraine did agree to give up its nuclear weapons in 1994 in exchange for safety from a U.S. or Russian invasion. International leaders say Russia violated the agreement by invading Ukraine last month, and it wasn't the first time. In 2014, Russia sent its military into Crimea and annexed it. When the other three countries tried to get Russia to meet about what happened under the terms of the memo, Russia didn't show up.
Russia's foreign ministry argued it had a right to disregard the agreement because Ukrainian citizens had recently overthrown their former authoritarian president.
2 years later, Russia falsely claimed the agreement only required them not to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Russia has not discussed the memo after its most recent invasion of Ukraine.
With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
House Democrats introduced 3 proposals to send people money to help pay for gas. Up first is the Gas Rebate Act. Under it, checks would come monthly. Individuals would get $100 per month, couples $200, plus more for each dependent. It's all based on income level, kind of like the COVID-19 stimulus plans. Payments would last through the end of the year, though how to pay for those checks doesn't have a clear answer yet. The other 2 plans target big oil as a source for funding. Under the Stop Gas Price Gouging Tax and Rebate Act, people would get a monthly advance tax credit, similar to last year's child tax credit. The money would come from a one-time tax on oil company profits. The size of the payments would be based on how much money that tax raises. A similar bill, called the Big Oil Windfall Profits Tax, calls for quarterly payments instead of monthly ones. The money would come from taxing profits of big oil companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron. Lawmakers estimate single filers who meet the income requirements could get $240 a year, couples $360 a year. And that's connecting the dots. For 9 News Mornings, I'm Alexandra Lewis.
Welcome back. As dementia rates increase in the United States, a recent study is finding that exercise could significantly reduce your risk by 33%. That's today's Focus on Fitness presented by QB. According to a neurologist, there is a strong association between cardiorespiratory fitness and reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease. So what does that mean? If a person were to develop Alzheimer's, they would develop it later in life if they were fit. QB is a great way to get some quick exercise. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-556-2089 or visit QB.com to learn more.
That's right.
Did you guys get that part?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're live. See you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place.